Okay guys, so in 7th grade we are going to be going over our last lesson in our area. This is going to be item number 17 in our sampling unit, and it's going to be on making inferences. So you should have already added in the vocab terms into the back of your thing from the Google form that I sent you. You should have also been able to go over the PowerPoint about making inferences, and what you should realize is that making inferences is basically just drawing conclusions from your data. So we're going to go over a small lesson about making inferences about samples and populations and stuff like that. It might be a little bit of a review of what we did when we talked about populations and samples. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing this basically through examples. So let's look at a word problem, which most of these are going to be word problems because they're going to be working some stuff out. And we're going to be looking at this little one here with this lovely picture of the ape on it. Okay, so John has to complete a research project on the ape population in Spain. He is trying to estimate the size and population of apes, and he randomly catches 37 apes and marks them with paint. He releases the apes into the jungle, and the following year he observes 250 apes, and he found that 10 were marked with paint that he's used. Find out the best estimate of the population size. Okay, so we're going to be able to do that with a ratio like we did when we were talking about sampling. Okay, so we're going to have the number of marked apes over the total number of apes counted equals the total number of marked, we're just going to write marked, okay, over the estimated population. So you can see where this is similar to our population questions, right? Estimated population. So that would tell us we had 10 marked apes that we caught over the 250 that we counted, or 10 that were painted, right, is equal to the 37 that we originally caught and marked over the X, or the question mark, because we don't know how many apes are in this population. So we can cross multiply, and we can get 10x is equal to 37 times 250, which becomes 10x is equal to 9,250. We're going to divide both sides by 10 to isolate x by itself, and x is going to equal 925. Okay, so how many, the best estimate for this population is there are about, because it's an estimation, right, 925 apes in the population. Okay, so what can we infer? We can make a great conclusion that there are about 925 apes in the jungle of wherever, right? All right, so let's do some more examples here. Let's look at another one. We're going to use this awesome alligator one next because I think the animal populations are kind of fun to work with. Okay, so you'll have examples. These you should be writing into your notes, right? Alright, so a famous television channel puts 58 tags on alligators and releases them. Later they catch 260 alligators, and among these alligators 50 were tagged. We're going to calculate the best estimate for the alligator population. So let's say that we do the same thing that we did up here. The number of marked alligators that we caught. So we caught 50 that were tagged over the total number that we counted, which was 260, is equal to the total number of marked ones that we started with, which was 58, over the question mark or the population. So we're going to cross multiply again. We're going to get 50x is equal to 260 times 58. Okay, and that is going to be 50x is equal to 150, so 15,080. We're going to divide both sides by 50. Oops. Both sides by 50 to make x by itself, and x is going to equal 301.6. So let's go ahead and round that up, right? So the population is probably about 306 alligators, or 302 alligators, right? So I could probably say, I would infer from this data or draw a conclusion that there are approximately 302 alligators in the population. Okay, I'm going to turn the page and you can either follow or you can pause for more. Okay, more time. All right, so what we're going to look at next is another nice little one, this time on cafeteria things. Okay, so here is another example of something we might be looking at. Management wants to open a cafeteria in the office building, so they collected data from 2 random samples of 100 employees regarding their lunch preference. Make at least 2 inferences based on the results. So remember, inferences are conclusions or guesses. So here are the results from the survey. In each of the groups we had 56 corn dogs, 32 cheesesteaks, so we want to be figuring out what we're going to sell, right, in our cafeteria. So based on this data, I would say I'm going to purchase very little, small amounts of Reuben materials, right? Because not very many people seem to want those sandwiches. And I think that I would probably stock up on corn dogs because lots of people wanted corn dogs, right? So I'm going to say stock up on corn dogs because that's what the data is telling us. The data is telling us that corn dogs are going to sell really well, right? And it's also telling us that probably Philly cheesesteaks are going to sell pretty well. Not nearly as well as the corn dogs, but they're probably second. And Reuben sandwiches, they aren't going to sell very well. So we're not going to buy very many of those. Okay, those are the inferences or the conclusions that we can draw from the data. Let's do one last one, and that will be the end of it. And then you can get to your homework on drawing conclusions or making inferences. Sometimes isn't it much easier when we use the easier words and leave those fancy words? Okay, inferences, just drawing conclusions from our data. So a computer tracking chip company wants to test their chips, and they mark 32 birds by attaching the computer chips to their legs. Later on, they catch 400 of these birds, 28 of which are marked by the computer chip. They provided this data to animal welfare authorities to estimate the bird population. To the nearest whole number, what is the estimated bird population? So let's do what we did with the animals, right? So we've caught, let's see, later on they caught 440 birds. That's the amount that they caught. And of those 440 birds, 28 of them were marked, okay, which is equal to, and that is the 32 they originally caught over X because we don't know the population. So this is going to be the caught marked, and this is going to be the total caught, and this will be the total marked to begin with. And this is going to give us the estimated population, right? As we did with the apes at the beginning here. So estimated population. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross multiply, which is going to give us 28x, which is equal to 440 times 32. Okay, so 440 times 32 is 14,080. So we have 28x equal to 14,080. To isolate the x and find the estimated population, we divide both sides by 28 and get x is equal to 502.8, 502.9. So that's going to give us x is approximately 503, right? Because we're going to round up closest to the nearest nearest whole number. So our estimated population, the estimated population is about 503 birds, right? All right. So now that you've gotten several of the types of equations, I think that you can do, or the situations, I think you're going to be able to do the homework. There are 10 questions in the homework, and you are going to be doing some estimating the population samples and making inferences or drawing conclusions about those things. So go ahead and do that, and then when you're done, you're going to be ready to turn in that homework tomorrow, and we'll correct that in class. Okay? So have fun with your homework.